You're listening to Novelbound, a podcast dedicated to making you laugh and keeping you company. Each week, we're sharing all of our favorite books and the embarrassing side of life.
Welcome back, y'all. I'm Anna.
I'm Celine.
And today we are talking about the beloved Twilight.
Oh my gosh, I freaking love Twilight so much, but I could never talk
Yes.
about it until now. Give me a second.
Well, now you have the perfect opportunity.
Okay, so tell us, what do we want to do first? Do we want to talk about books or like our book hacks, or do we want to talk about Twilight? Like, where do we want to start?
So let's start. We have a couple of hacks for y'all, and it's about the library and some Barnes & Nobles. And I think, Celine, you had some for the library. So why don't we start there?
Yes. Okay, perfect. So, I think that, like, a lot of people that I've been, like, talking to about this podcast, they're like, oh, I don't really read a lot, and I don't really know where I can get books and stuff like that. So I'm like, welcome. Let us introduce how you can, like, get and acquire books without having the time. If you don't have the time to, like, peruse a bookstore, this is kind of what I typically do. So, as I rustle papers, I just have 3 suggestions. So I was, like, expecting, like, this long-winded thing, and I just had, like, three like small points. Okay, so first off, I've talked about this in a past episode, but you can just go online, like, whenever you have a chance, and basically just, like, type in the titles and just click hold. And then the way that libraries work now is, like, you just go the next day or, like, 2 days later, you pick them up, and all of those books have been found for you. And what's beautiful is if you're a mother, they have library to go, so they will just bring the books out for you, which I absolutely love. So it's like grocery pickup, but for the library.
That's nice.
Yeah, and then also, like, the summer reading program, you can also do it as an adult, and I, like, love the summer reading program. It is so validating. My first time that I ever, like, did a summer reading program, I was 5, and I completed the summer reading challenge in 3 weeks, so.
Oh, that's amazing. Not surprising, though.
Yeah, I got a free backpack that I still have to this day, so.
Yes, Celine, yes.
Okay, go.
So I just have a couple for Barnes & Nobles, because I have a library card now. I'm hip now, but before Barnes & Nobles was my, like, go-to place.
Yeah,
and
so your mother freaking spoiled you and brought you a book,
yes.
A book every week. What?
I know, my mom bought me a book every week. I was blessed, y'all. Blessed with the best.
I am, like, jealous of your book collection to a T. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, who are you?
It's fun. I've set it up where it sits above my desk, and so I'm looking at it right now, and I'm just, so fond. Love it. Okay, so, but a couple of my little hacks were to look for the staff recommendations in the store, because people who usually work at Barnes & Nobles like to read, and they have really good suggestions about what's popular and what people like. Mm-hmm. And I always like looking at what they have up there. There's one I'm looking at this list, and there's one that is so funny to me. It says, save money by curling up with a book and flipping through. Shorter reads are perfect for a day at Barnes & Nobles. Just be sure to buy something at checkout to support the chain.
Wait, so
they're basically saying to, like, just go there and read the book. But, just buy something.
Just buy something casually. One thing I like about Barnes & Noble is their classics section. So if you want to, like, have, like, I have this really cool book. It's, like, great ghost stories that I got for, like, 6 bucks at Barnes & Noble, and it's huge. It's a huge book.
Yes, they do have classic. And that's, like, along the lines of, like, check out their discount section, because it's usually going to be probably up front, but they have a lot of books that maybe had a cover on it that didn't sell as well as an old, like, or a different cover, and they'll have those on sale. Yes. And along the lines that they're always doing, like, older novels that are more popular.
Yes.
And I love that. So that's my Barnes & Noble hacks.
I love it.
Love it.
Do you go to lots of used bookstores, or, like, where do you?
Yeah, so I do try to go to used bookstores, and there's one, they're not everywhere, but there is one called Second and Charles. Ooh. That is just absolutely amazing. They have really good books, and it's really well organized. And whenever I go visit my parents in Virginia, there's one by their house, and I always go because you can buy, like, a book for, like, $5 there, and it's in pretty good condition. Oh, and at Second and Charles, you can sell your old books there. So that's something too. That's something that I really like about them.
What I just do not understand is that you just buy books without taking the risk. Like, I cannot buy a book unless
I know.
How do you do that? Like, you have balls,
It's
girl.
hard. When I was younger, it was easier to do because especially now that I've just read so many books and I know, like, it's easier to get, like, earlier on in the book to, if I'm going to realize if I'm going to like it or not. Like, it's easier for me to know. So it's not so bad, but yeah, it can be risky. I do remember one time I bought this book at Barnes & Noble's, and I kind of should have known that I wouldn't have liked it because it was all of the 3 trilogy books slapped together in one gigantic book on sale for like $6. And so I was like, this is the perfect find. It's so cheap. And I got like 2 chapters in and I was like, this is horrible. The writing is horrible.
I freaking love it. How do you find your book suggestions?
Ooh, that's a good one. And actually this does have to do with Barnes & Noble's. They have sections where like, if you like this book, you'll like this book.
Yeah.
If you've read these books and liked it, you'll like these ones. So that's something too that is good to know about Barnes & Noble's. Which I think they do at the library too.
Yes. Oh, yes. The librarians have, like, these, like, printed out little sheets of, like, if you like YA, if you like historical fiction, whatever it is, like, usually they have, like, a lot of really good stuff that I feel are, like, solid and super fun.
Nice.
Since starting this podcast, like, I've been really entering into the Bookstagram world, and as well as, like, Book Talk, Facebook groups, BookTube, just, like, kind of doing it, and first off, the aesthetic of the feeds from people.
It's like cottagecore almost.
Yes, it's totally
which is like so pretty.
Dark academia, cottagecore aesthetic. I'm learning so much.
I love
it's
it
like
though.
I'm 16. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm young, get this. But no, it's like these like perfectly laid out books with like a cup of tea, perfectly warm with like a sweater, and I'm just sitting there like, wow, this is incredible. Like, this is aesthetic. With, like, a beautifully written out caption describing, like, why that you should read the book. And I'm just like, thank you. Thank you for this suggestion.
Thank you for blessing my eyes with that.
But what I'm not scared of is the Facebook groups that I've joined. And in the Facebook groups, they have, like, people just, like, literally just posting books. And then there's, like, 75 comments being like, oh, I love this book. And I'm like, that's a good one. I trust that one. That book.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Love it. All right. Yeah. So those are our little hacks. Fun.
Yes.
So I think, do you want to just jump into it?
Yes. Okay. I want you to start. I feel like we have never talked about the fact that we both read Twilight and love Twilight until this podcast.
I know.
And I was like, wait. So like,
I know. It's like a secret thing because I will say my younger self was a twihard. I mean, I was obsessed. I even remember after I read the books, I was at the movies with my mom. And the first trailer for Twilight came out, and I, like, screamed to my mom. I was like, that's Twilight! And I was like, I wrote the...
Just, like, scribbling. Like, I know. Mom, I know what this is!
It's Edward! I, like, wrote the date down in my mom's, like, because my mom used to have those little books where you, like, write your planners. I wrote it down in her little planner.
Yes, because when we were alive, when we were young kids, we didn't have cell phones to put things on. We just had... Maybe you did, but I didn't have a cell phone until I was, like,
Nope,
17.
I didn't.
I had, like, a flip phone until I was, like, in college. Like, halfway through college.
So funny. I definitely had a cell phone earlier, but when I was, like, that young, my mom definitely had her, like, planner book, and it went with her everywhere. So I wrote down the date it was going to come out, and I think I, like, convinced my mom to take me to the midnight premiere.
Oh
and it was
gosh.
Beautiful.
I'm so excited that we get to, like, unpack this episode. So do you want to, start, or do you want me to, like, start?
Well, I think we're both trying to start on the same points, which is that, like, I think that, like, the reason, wow, I can talk, don't worry. The reason I think so many people loved Twilight was because Bella just felt so relatable, especially to, like, younger girls, because she was, like, the shy, awkward girl, and she had just, like, normal brown hair, which what I had, and I freaking loved it. I lived for it. But then at the same time, like, she was, yes.
I understand you, Bella. We're the same. You fall, you slip on ice. I, too, have slipped on ice, which means that boys will like me. This is perfect.
Yes. I mean, and even with that, like, everyone wanted to date her. And I was like a 13-year-old who had, like, never talked to, like, even a boy she liked. I was like, Yes, I'm living for it.
How old are
I
you?
want to be Bella. How old was I
No, how old
when
are
I
you
read
now?
the books? Oh, I'm 25, guys.
Okay, I'm 25 too.
25.
I just didn't know if we were the same age for a second, and I was like, were we 13 at the same time? Because I was like, wait, you were 13 too? Like, this is amazing. Sorry to,
Yes.
like,
Yes,
tell
we were
everyone
the same
how old
age.
you are over the internet so they can judge us.
It's okay.
Okay, I'm gonna read this thing I wrote. But first off, I just want to say this episode's going to kill any of our street cred. Like,
Yeah, it is.
everyone's going to like immediately see the topic of this podcast and just be like, oh gosh, oh no. But you know what? It's fine. I never thought I would openly admit that I was madly in love with Jacob Black. I never thought I'd openly admit that I was on the forums with the username Cabine. I never thought I'd openly admit that I'd read the first book 17 times. But here I am on the internet where this can never truly be deleted, telling you about my obsession with vampires.
Love it.
So yeah. So I think that we need to discuss what did we love about the books and the movies. So
yeah,
I think we talked about the fact that she's relatable, and we can talk more.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead. What else did you love about the movies?
Well, definitely for sure, one of the things I loved is that, like, I wrote this, what is it? Basically, Bella is an average-looking, normal girl that falls in love with the most beautiful man on the planet, whose entire world revolves around her. Like, what girl wouldn't dream of something like that?
I know. It's like she wrote the book about my husband, so clearly. I just wanted someone to be obsessed with me the way Edward's obsessed with Bella. So that's good. Tanner, good job.
Yes.
Proud of you. As if he's gonna listen to this ever. He's gonna be like, oh, Twilight, nope. Swerve.
I'll just skip this one.
Oh my gosh, yes. So I funny. Also loved that Bella wasn't really special. Does that make sense? Like, the books that we read now,
like, she was just normal.
She discovers that she has powers, and then she saves the world. Like, this is literally, like, she's just chilling. And, like, she's surrounded by people, but, like, she's strong in her own way. She holds her own, and she goes through a lot of crap. But, like, I kind of love that she is... I mean, granted, like, Edward couldn't hear her thoughts, but, like, she was quote-unquote weak, and that was something that was fascinating to people, was like that she wasn't like strong in the ways that they had defined as strong. Yeah. And I thought that was really cool that, like, yeah. Also, Stephanie Meyer's, I think a lot of times she gets crap about the way that she writes and like gloward and like all of the words she says. Yeah. I think that, like, her storytelling is absolutely incredible.
And she is really good at, like, making you feel the, like, emotional heaviness in certain moments of the book. Like, she does a good job portraying how the characters are feeling. And, like, it's easy to understand. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. So I totally agree with that.
Yes, keep going.
Oh, first of all,
your first time.
I remember rereading the scene of, like, when they're in science class at the desk and they have to, like, look in the microscope and, like, write down the things that, like, they think it's supposed to be. And it was, like, for some reason, the most intense scene ever.
You're like, when I'm in high school, I hope a boy sits by me and, like, looks really angrily at me. Really, like, oh my gosh.
So angrily. I can just see the, like, passion in his eyes from how angry he is. And, like, but I'll also, like, slyly hide behind my hair and, like, be cute at the same time.
Be like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, oh, my bad. Yeah.
I can't help but be this beautiful.
I think another thing, too, that was, like, so attractive about the Twilight series is that Stephanie Meyer established very early on that, like, Edward wasn't interested in anyone or anything, but he was interested in her. And I think that just is, like, every girl wants that for, like, that you are the only one that can change them or, like, get them to talk to you. Like, you have that. You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, that, like, you know what I mean? It's like this, like, I don't know how to explain it. You go.
Yeah, no, basically it's like, Bella got the guy without really having to do anything. Like, she didn't really have to go out of her comfort zone and, like, put herself on the line to be like, listen, I like you, and I'm just wanting to know if you like me too. Like, from the start, or not from the start, but kind of from the start, he basically was like, oh, you're mine now. Yeah. Like, we're going to be together, and I'm going to make this work. And so even just, like, reading that for the first time, I was like, she doesn't have to put any effort in. This, like, beautiful man just falls into her lap and he just loves her uncontrollably. Like,
and his skin sparkles like the sun, and he calls her a spider monkey, and it's just like so cute. Oh my gosh. I think that's why I love it, is because 13-year-old me like wasn't educated enough in like any literary tropes. I was just there for the fun. Like, you know what I mean? And I think like right now we look at books and we're like, oh, I wish that this had this, or let's analyze the character development. But like 13-year-old us was just like, oh, this is fun. Like, this is a fun story.
Yeah. Because I think for a lot of people, it was their first time, like, reading about love. At least it was for me. Like, it was my first time reading about a love like that. And it just seemed so perfect and intense.
That's true. It was my first, like, grown-up book. Like, I would read other books, but this was my first one where it was, like, oh, girl. I remember, like, listening to, like, songs and being like, this is a song that Edward would have for Bella. And I, like, couldn't stop thinking about it. I was like, oh, my gosh, like, this totally translates to chapter 52. And, like, oh, I love that. But
I love that.
Yeah, so I wrote down some notes, and do you want to react to them, or do you want to add in your notes too?
Ooh, I'll react to them.
Okay. I feel like they really slept on Jessica's potential in both the movie and the books. So let's talk with that.
Let's talk about Jessica.
Yes.
Because she, and even I think she even got more like credit in the movies than she did in the books.
Yes, Anna Kendrick.
Because Anna Kendrick did her justice. She was funny. Yeah. But Jessica was basically, the only thing she was portrayed as in the books was like her friend that was like almost her frenemy, that like like they were almost
tired
frenemies.
Of her. She's like, oh, Bella, are you gonna go jump on another stupid boy's motorcycle and like run off? She was always like, Bella, you're acting really weird right now. Like, I just love that she was like, is another boy going to like you right now? I'm just like, Bella, or Jessica, you were like calling Bella out.
I know.
Oh my gosh, like, oh, sorry, I shouldn't hit the desk.
No, you're totally fine. She was even almost like breaking the like fourth wall to be like, because I think at some point all of us were like, really, Bella, really, come on.
She's like, are you pregnant? Why are you getting married so soon? Like, she's like helping her like write down the invitations of like the thing. She's like, okay, Bella, but like, why? Are you like in a sex contract? Why is this happening? And then Bella's like, I can never tell you. I'm so mysterious. And she's like hiding behind her, like, I don't know. She's like, but seriously, like, why are you getting married like right after graduation? Don't you want to do things? She's like, no, I want to be a vampire, but I can't tell you. Like, can you imagine Jessica meeting vampire Bella and like Renesmee and being like,
oh my gosh, and being like, something's not right here. What the heck is happening?
20-year-old child. I don't understand. Who's this werewolf guy that's like making out with her right now? I don't understand. Are you
Isn't that Jacob? Wasn't he like
into you? Oh my god.
Yeah, I do think that they slept on Jessica. She definitely. Oh yeah.
I also feel like Stephanie Meyer really, really, really understood the West Coast, like Oregon, Port Angeles vibe, because there's literally nothing there. It's really just like trees and like small towns. And like I lived in Washington for like 3 years of my life, and like I lived in California for like a long time, and anytime we were in Oregon and Washington, like especially the closer you get, it's just like it is really moody and dark, and like I love the way that they're like, we have to drive 40 minutes to go to a town with prom dresses, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like,
oh, that's funny.
True.
I've never been over in that area, so that's funny.
Yeah. It is nothing like the East Coast. Like coming here to the East Coast, because I just moved here, is like there's literally everything everywhere, and I'm just like, and there's people everywhere, and like you don't get that. You don't. Yeah. You
don't. That's true.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Oh, it's so moody. Let's talk about the world's obsession with Taylor Lautner's abs, shall we?
Oh,
Tanner,
yes.
Husbands, like, immediately skip this. Like, you don't need to hear this discussion. This is from a 13-year-old's perspective.
Just skip ahead, like, a minute or two.
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, like, literally, the movies did it so much justice, because reading it in the books and you're like, this guy he doesn't have a shirt on and he has a 6-pack, and I'm like, I don't know what that looks like. I'm just a tiny 13-year-old who's not been exposed to anything in the world yet.
What's even funnier is like, I feel like like, I don't even think I even thought of Jacob that much. I just loved the friendship that he had with Bella. But then
Yeah.
the movie, Taylor Lautner, like,
Oh,
ruined Edward.
Ruined.
Like, because, like, they would always compare, like, Edward's, like, shiny little pale body to, like, Taylor Lautner's, like, tan abs. And you just be like...
Tanned, muscular. And it always looked like he was oiled. Do you remember that? Like, it always looked like there was oil on him.
Oh, the range, though. The range
Yes.
that you can portray. From,
Right?
like,
Okay.
When he, like...
But I always think about this scene of, like, it's a picture of them, like, it's a behind-the-scenes look of Bella, like, petting Jacob for the first time in, like, wolf form. But Taylor Lautner had to wear, like, the foam wolf head, and he's just, like, awkwardly turned. And you just see it. I love that picture so much.
Oh, my gosh.
We need to try to find it.
Okay, so I have to share with you, like, an embarrassing story. So, you know, like,
Let's
in the
hear
second
it.
movie of New Moon, so, setting the scene, me and my best friends at, like, we, like, it was the midnight premiere, we were so excited, we had stayed up, I was delirious, because one, I had friends coming with me to a movie, this is amazing, two, it's a movie I'm obsessed with, and three, food, like, it was after midnight, so I, like, remember going to the theater and sitting in the theater with my friends, and then, like, Bella gets into, like, the motorcycle thing, and Taylor Lautner, like, strips off his shirt to, like, help do, which, like, also, I'm like, why?
But, like, for no reason.
I would never have done that, ever, but he strips off his shirt, and I screamed in the theater. Sorry, I'm yelling and hitting things. I screamed.
You're just
in
passionate.
The theater. I tapped that. I just screamed it so loud, and I literally, do you think I knew what that meant? No.
Nope.
I heard it before used as a joke? Yeah. Did the entire audience just look at this, like, tiny little 13-year-old girl, just like, what?
I was like, what the heck?
They cheered. They, like, woo!
Oh,
like,
yes. I love it.
We have, like, suburban mothers and their daughters in this theater, hyped up on sugar or whatever. I yelled, I tapped that, and in my brain, I just felt like everyone would just be like, yep, me too.
Oh, yeah. What a memorable moment.
Yeah,
so
it's
fun.
Actually one of my most embarrassing moments that I will cringe
really?
about forever, yes. But, you know, this is a safe space. That's what I've decided. If someone has listened to a
safe
podcast
space.
this long to, like, get to the middle where I'm sharing this, like, I know that they're my friends, not just, like, random.
No malicious intent.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm here for it.
Let's talk about, so, just going off of Twilight, so basically, from this point on, we're talking about all of the books in this episode, like, all the genre of Twilight, so I'm gonna give some spoilers, but, so, like, this is where, if you haven't read it, like, don't listen to this, or seen the movies. But I loved Bella's transformation in Breaking Dawn. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I like how they did it, and they did make hers, like, different, because, like, as soon as the venom enters her body, or whatever, I think it's like that, she's just, like, silent, and it's like a 3-day transformation, too. So she's just silent on the table, and usually, you know, like, once you're transforming, you're, like, screaming, you're in all this agony, you're in so much pain. And so I did like they did that her transformation was different in that aspect. Although it was, like, traumatic because she had to have this, like, baby basically cut out of her stomach, not even, like, a real C-section. And then, boom, was turned into a vampire and couldn't see her baby for, like, 3 days. It was very...
C-section later on. Oh.
Yeah, you know what a C-section... We both have children, one child. And I
we
gave
don't have
birth...
one child that we share.
Yes, no.
Keep going.
I mean, but wouldn't be against it.
We'll just borrow each other's kid. You want to take him? Okay, keep going.
So basically, Celine had a C-section, and I feel weird saying vaginally. I feel weird saying that in this podcast. Celine had a C-section, and I did not, basically.
I witnessed her giving birth, everyone. I just want to tell you
that
I have seen Anna give legit birth. I saw her child enter this world. Because I'm a videographer, and I filmed it. It's there.
It was amazing.
It was amazing. Anna, like, did it like a freaking boss. Like, she gave birth like a boss.
That whole story was crazy. Maybe we'll get into it in another episode.
Oh my God,
when we talk about, like... Yeah, which I do in a later episode when I talk about Chicken Soul for the Soup. I think those are fun books. Anyways.
Chicken Soup for the Soul.
chicken soul for the soup.
Aren't
Wow.
I so wonderful? I just like correct you. I'm like, Anna.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for being here to correct me.
I just don't want people to be like, Anna, like.
Like, do you know how to talk?
We'll talk about our beautiful
Yes.
stories. But anyways, Homegirl. What I liked though was her transformation because it had been building for books on books and books. All Bella ever wanted was to be a freaking vampire. And so when she finally got to, like, here's the deal. My biggest beef with authors is when they build up to something and then it's like a crappy climax. Like, you like go
they don't really deliver.
Yeah, like you go to, like for example, like I love Suzanne Collins, like the Hunger Games books, and I loved reading them, but like you never get the payoff of like what does freedom look like? What does a new world look like? We're fighting for this, and I'm so into it like for the battle, but then like you don't get to see the end of the world. And I feel like with this book, now granted, there was strong characters, a strong villain. The characters evolved and grew, and like there were stronger villains they had to accomplish. Like I loved in the third book. This is why I really like her storytelling. Is like it never felt like dumb. Like it really was super good. And
the Hunger Games world was good.
Yes, I loved it. But the payoff of Twilight, where you literally have like 150 pages of just Bella experiencing the like. And we didn't get to experience, what the vampire's perspective of stuff was. So she got to, like, be like, oh, this is what things look like. This is what things taste like. This is what sex is like. What?
Yeah,
and
that was... okay, let me get your opinion on that. Because, the books go from being, like, so chaste almost, like, we can't, not until we're married. And, like, it's the last thing, tying myself to humanity. Like, I need this. And then, like, boom, they get married. And they literally wreck all the furniture every single night. I'm like, you are wild! Why are you so wild?
I just, having been married, I'm just like, but how? But how did you explain and, throw me a bone here. Like, how is furniture broken? There's feathers? Like, what did Edward do? Like, was Edward just like, ha! And just, like, rips everything? Like, what was happening? And how was she just, like, chilling? So funny. But it did disturb me a little bit with the, she's, like, wakes up with bruises, and I'm like, and she's like, that was the best. And I was like, girl, like, we need to talk. The best? Like, what kind of, I guess that's why 50 Shades of Grey was, like, based off of
so popular, I guess, yeah.
Fiction or whatever, but, like, no, but I just, like, I loved the payoff of just, like, her experiencing, like, her power of the shield. I thought that was so freaking cool. I wish that there was another book from Reneseme's perspective. I am waiting for that book. Like
that would be fun to read.
It'd be
How
so
do you think? Like,
interesting.
what age do you think Stephanie Meyers would make her?
It would have to be a love story with Jacob because otherwise it'd be really creepy to have like 8-year-old Nessie being like, "Hey Jacob, you're my friend." You know, to being like,
and Jacob's
hey,
like,
Jacob.
We're soon gonna be like lovers.
Like, hey, this is cool. Just wait 3 years for you to be a 30-year-old and it'll be fine. But anyways, long story short, my thing though is, yeah, so it'd be interesting to see the way that Nessie like grows up. I would like that. But I feel like she's one of the only authors that just gave us the time to like actually see it was worth it. You know what I mean? Like I actually really loved Breaking Dawn, and I loved the movie Breaking Dawn. Okay, this was my first book ever having characters write different perspectives, and I was super mad that we got Jacob's perspective sometimes. Like, he was so whiny, and I was mad about it.
That's right.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think I even skipped some parts of his because I was like, I'm not here for you, Jacob. I'm here for Bella.
Like, that's cute. You're like 16. Like, calm down. Sorry. I'm here for like the 18-year-olds. Right. I'm here for the adults. But it also was like really sad. But I understood like looking back, I'm like, oh, that's why she had it. Because like we did not want to be on Bella's head when she's like racked with pain. And, like, she would not have any way to say coherent sentences when she's giving birth. Or, like, anything.
Which is true.
And then when Jacob sees Nessie for the first time, it was like, that was insane. So I'm glad we had it from his perspective.
Yeah. And, I will say, as much as, like, it bugged me when I was younger, like, looking back, I do appreciate... Because you get, like, a peek kind of into his world and, like, with all the rest of the wolves. And I remember loving Leah and what was her brother's name?
Ooh, Oh, like into yes.
The
yes,
two
yes,
like
yes.
younger wolves.
That was really cool. I felt
I
really
thought they were
bad for
so
Jacob,
cute and
though. I remember
precious.
my heart just hurting for him too. Like he was really hurting, and like
Yeah.
seeing how much he cared for her was like really sad, and like how his perspective of the vampires, you know what I mean? Like it gave us a lot of insight. I really enjoyed learning about all the vampires' different powers. Like I really liked Breaking Dawn because I feel like it was cool.
Yeah, I loved meeting all the new characters.
It was so cool. Also, they made the Renesmee in Breaking Dawn absolutely stunning.
Oh my gosh, she was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Which was all fake,
like,
but still.
What a filter, though. What a filter. Give me that filter.
I know.
Maybe she's born with it. Maybe she's not. Maybe she's
just a vampire.
Okay, so what was your favorite book out of all of them?
Okay, so I'm kind of going to jump back a little bit because my favorite book out of all of them was Eclipse, which I feel like doesn't get a lot of recognition. Like, a lot of people don't. Like, you're either talking about When Edward Left Bella at New Moon, or just the first book by itself was so good at introducing the whole world, and then Breaking Dawn, obviously, the closure was great. But I really liked Eclipse, and it was because Victoria, like, she had come back and was creating this, like, army, like the vampire army. Yeah, and I thought, like, it was a lot of action. I really liked it. And then you got, like, okay, honestly, I loved the scene in where they're, like, trying to throw them off Bella's scent, but somehow they come to the conclusion that, like, she should walk somewhere with Jacob, and she, like, cut herself and, like, started putting her, like, blood on the trees around her. Do you remember that? It's when they go camping, like, up in the mountains and it's snowing. And she, like, I think this is after Edward had proposed to her and she had said yes. And she, like, has to sleep in the tent with both of them, and she's so cold, but so she has to cuddle with Jacob because he's, like, so hot.
Like, oh my
literally
gosh.
and metaphorically.
Jacob's like, it would work better if we were naked. I was literally like, Jacob, what? Like,
I know.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, I just remember I really liked that part, and I remember reading, like, even the next morning, like, when they woke up after Bella had, like, heard their conversation that they were gonna put their hatred aside for Bella and, like, come together to protect her.
Like,
but then, like, the next day,
being like, wow, Bella gets a happy ending once again. Like, there's like a fake Jessica just commentating.
Would have never seen that coming.
She had people that love her, but they're willing to, like, die for her and give up everything for her. Wow, Bella, great. I like that she's openly, like, so calling her out, though. That's the friend you need. She's like,
oh,
wow,
yes.
Good job.
You kind of do. You do. But, so, even just, like, to go back, like, do you remember after they woke up from the, like, camping trip and Jacob, like, overhears Bella and Edward talking about, like, their engagement and how they're gonna get married, and he gets, like, pissed and storms out, and then Bella's like, no, Jacob, wait, but, like, I do love you, kiss me, and then he, like, kisses her, and you're like, what is happening?
I know, but also, Edward was totally using that as a power play to, like, state his territory, and he said that so that Jacob would
totally.
He was such a stupid boy in that time, and, like, I think we have to, like, carve something.
Snob.
We do have to carve a space of, like, we love these books, but, like, it was not the most healthy relationship.
Oh my gosh, no.
Toxic,
and that's, like,
and, like, it only could work in this fictional world.
Even,
like, I don't like anything that Edward did.
Oh,
like,
yes.
And I think, like, as a 13-year-old, it was fine, but, like, now looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I would have been on Jacob's team.
Oh, I tried to reread the books. Yeah, I tried to reread the books, like, probably a year ago. And I just remember being like, it just does not hold the same, like, magicalness that it did when I was younger. Because I, like, reread them and I loved them. But, like, just rereading, like, how insecure Bella truly was. And I'm like, sometimes she's just stupid. Sometimes I'm like, Bella, come on. Why? What's your train of thought here?
Oh, yeah,
Why are you doing that?
Oh, yeah.
And then, like, yeah. Well, and then even, like, Edward sometimes is, like, over possessive with her, like, showing up in her room, and she's like, what are you doing here? And I was younger, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's in her room, this is so cute. But now I'm like, ew, Edward, get out of her room, that's gross. Did she invite you in there?
Like, I feel like now nowadays, I would just be like the strong, independent woman in me is just like, excuse me, like, I need boundaries here. Like, you can't just watch me sleep. Like, that's just no. Like, we can make out, but like, no, like, I don't understand. Oh, but her dependence on him, like, that was just a sign of like the dependency.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I can say is, like, I think she came into her own in Breaking Dawn. She really was the best as she was. But here's the deal,
does.
like, she without Edward, she literally collapsed as a person.
Oh,
and then
yeah, like in New Moon, she jumps off the cliff. She rides the motorcycle. She gets into the accident.
That Stephenie Meyer's like that. There are literally relationships like that, but the fact that she ended up with someone that does not make sense. Like it was hard.
She still ended up with him. Yeah. And it was hard to see the growth too, because she kind of came to his rescue in New Moon.
Oh, so good.
So that he wouldn't reveal himself and the Volturi wouldn't kill him. And maybe I just don't remember, but I don't ever think that like that was really resolved. Like the stuff he put her through.
Yeah. And what I think too is like oh gosh, finish your thought while I think back. I lost my train of thought, so keep going.
Oh, I was just saying, like, girl, you're reckless, and it's sad that your boy left you, but you're 16. You got your whole life ahead of you. Don't try to kill yourself just to see glimpses 100%. Of him.
I also feel like this only worked because it was fictional. Like, I would never, if I had ever, like, heard, like, if I had a friend that was like, well, he, like, does this and this and this, like, I would be like, come here. Let me take. I would have been Jessica.
You'd be like, girl, that's a red flag.
I want a book about Jessica. If you can't tell, I just want her.
I do too.
I would want her.
I would
to
read
Bella.
it.
Does that make sense? Where she's like, "Excuse me, Edward. Like, I get that I'm fabulous, but like, seriously, back up. Yeah,
can you back off for a second?
I'm gonna go see Jacob because he's my friend, and like, you can just deal with it." And then when Jacob's like all whiny, being like, "Bella, why don't you love me?" She's like, "Because fool, you're like younger than me. Like, get over yourself. Like, suck it up, Ed."
I mean, she's like, I don't owe you anything.
Oh my gosh. Jessica would have been giving us the sassiness that we need. Oh,
yes, she would have.
Opportunities.
Yes. You know what? I bet you somewhere in the world there exists a fan fiction of Twilight as Jessica as the main character. I bet you it exists somewhere.
Hilarious. Like, I would love to read a book like that because I feel like with Bella, it was I wouldn't call her whiny, but the second book she was just kind of like, there is no hope. She's Holden. That's who she is. She's full on Holden and Catcher in the Rye.
Yes. She is.
Like, I feel like Jessica would have been like, enough with this. I'm gonna get my revenge body. Like, let's go work out.
Right. Like, yes.
Come here,
I'm gonna get myself together so that the next time I see Edward,
I'm gonna rebound with you. Come here really quick. Let's just have a good make out and I'll be fine. Like, I can bounce back. She's been like, Edward, take my virginity already. Come on, let's do it. Bella was like so nice. She's like, it's fine, I can wait. That's good. I mean, granted, like I waited until marriage too, but I'm just like, dude, like the way that she just like tried to seduce him in the meadow, I was like, she's like,
I know.
No, this is weird.
And you almost like don't even know what's happening until it's happening, and you're like,
also,
Bella, what are you doing?
That Edward had to like not like eat her.
Props to him.
No, not that.
Oh, to eat her.
That's not what I meant.
I mean, it's true. It's true.
Eat her, like a vampire would eat.
Literally.
Clarifying that. I'm so sorry.
Oh gosh.
The
No.
Yep.
I'm not. That was hilarious.
Your favorite book was Eclipse. That's good. Yep.
Yes. So we were going to talk about Midnight Sun a little bit, but y'all, the library has these books. Like, people are reading these books. So mine, it was not available for like at least a week or two. Mm-hmm. I think the same thing's with Celine.
I'm thinking what we're gonna do is, for those of us that are listening, we're all gonna read it at the same time. So we're gonna have this episode launch, and then we're gonna have a Midnight Sun discussion. So you have a month to read it. And then we're gonna like launch that episode 4 weeks later. But while that's happening, we're gonna have you guys like give us your input and have us questions and stuff like that. Like, we actually want to like have you send in a voice recording of you and your input, because and if there's like someone that's like really into Twilight and wants to like jump on that discussion with us and have the three of us just go, we're so interested in that. So
yes. Yeah.
Anyways,
we
so
would
this
love
is
it.
our thoughts on Twilight and the fact that it impacted us. And I feel like we're not alone. I feel like there's a reason why it was like the most sold out book.
No.
Like, ever.
It was popular. I mean, and even this, like, the Twilight series was, like, the catalyst for, like, all the young adult, like, vampires and werewolves and, like, fairy, like, all that fantasy stuff. Like, I remember reading Twilight, I became obsessed with, like, vampire and werewolf books. And I read too many. I read so many that were themed like that. They were very popular for a while.
I love Vampire Diaries, too. Like, that was so good. But I loved the movies, the show more than the books. But we'll save that for another time.
Yeah, so they were pretty different.
But anyways, okay, so basically, we'll have you guys start reading Midnight Sun. We'll have, like, a comment thread in our feeds and stuff like that. We'll probably do a live where we, like, talk about it while we'll, like, have this podcast episode and we'll, like, do a live or something like that. So that way people can still, like, participate in real time. But besides that, Twilight, final thoughts? Anything?
I mean, it gets a lot of hate in today's age, but I love them. I still secretly kind of love them. Even if it's like an almost love to hate type of thing.
Honestly, I'm glad this is off our chest. I'm glad we can finally confess that Twilight was a pivotal part of our lives. So anyways, there's the episode. Bye, guys. See you next week.
Yeah, thanks for listening. See you next time.